Hi again, readers. Jim Wertz here with Nina Ahmad. And as you know, we are talking with candidates, local candidates, statewide candidates, about what it's been like to move their campaigns into a digital sphere. So we're going to hear from Nina in just a moment. Nina Ahmad is the former president of the Philadelphia chapter of the National Organization for Women, and most recently, she has served as the deputy mayor for public engagement under Mayor Kenney in Philadelphia, where Nina comes to us from today. Nina Ahmad, thanks so much for taking a couple of minutes to speak with us and to talk to us about your campaign. What a strange year 2020 has turned out to be. In all contexts. Talk to me about how your campaign started. You were off and running. You had visited us here in Erie a couple of times, and we don't know if you're going to be able to make it back to Erie again.
I was hoping to, yeah.
Well, and we were hoping to see you again as well.
Yeah.
So this is a unique time. Tell us a little bit about what your campaign has been doing to continue to engage viewers, to continue to engage voters, and folks out there in cyberspace as your campaign rolls into primary season, which is now going to be June 2nd here in Pennsylvania.
That's correct. Well, thank you again, Jim, for giving me this opportunity. As I said to you, we have no place to go now, so you have my undivided attention, and hopefully your viewers will get a good sense of who I am, what am I bringing to the table, and why I want to serve in this office. So, as you said, I served as a deputy mayor, but one of my primary introductions is I'm a scientist by training. So I'm a biomedical scientist. I got my PhD at the University of Pennsylvania in chemistry, then did a molecular genetics postdoc at Thomas University. And the reason I tell you this is that has given me a real overview of how to look at things in a very evidence-based manner. And I think government could use evidence-based policymaking, evidence-based approach to how we govern. And that's what I want to bring to the table. The other thing that is really important from my advocacy background is that equity is really important. How our evidence-based policymaking is equitable for all Pennsylvanians is something I want to use this office to really deliver. Because this office, as you know, is a fiscal watchdog. It's supposed to make sure the tax dollars you pay us are used with integrity. The math adds up. The performance audits add up to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. But underlying all of that is a lot of data. And that's the data I'm really interested in, to see how are we doing 67 countywide in X issue, right? And how do we use that information to have better public policy, working closely with legislators or our rest of our executive team? We'd be working with the AG, Auditor Attorney General, working with the Treasurer around our pension funding, and all of those issues come into play. So in this, you asked me the question, what are we doing in this new era of the COVID-19 pandemic? One is, obviously, like you, we're going on to social media platforms, other ways very visually and used audio to get to people. Just recently, given my biomedical background, I actually put together with my team a tele-town hall. It reached like 20,000 voters, and we were able to assemble a group of experts, such as we had a former health commissioner on. We have a current frontline doc who works for Temple University. She's a professor of medicine there, and she was actually coming home from her work. She goes there every day, and she's the people who are keeping us alive, really, keeping us safe. We also had labor organizer on from 1199C, the secretary and treasurer, and we had our congressional delegation. We had Congressman Brendan Boyle and Congressman Dwight Evans, both on the Ways and Means Committee. So important information from them on the stimulus. And we had a question answer period. We just today posted the results of a poll we took on the call, which indicated, we asked them 5 questions, and the two that resonated the most was, wanting to know about the pandemic. And the second one was disappointment with the current administration with how it's being handled. Real concern about that. So those were the top two concerns. And there were some other things. And I can send you that information if you want to just post a graphic, or I'm not sure. It's on our website. The whole teletown hall is on the website. What that told me, we actually was able to do constituent services right on the call, because Congressman Evans wanted to reach back out to a couple of people. We immediately sent his office the information. All to say that being responsive when people really need their fears to be calmed is very important as leaders. And, I wanted to bring leadership around that. This was not a political call. It was not about me running for office. It was about me using the skill set that I have. And I wanted to make sure that I was participating in some way to make the situation better.
And Nina4PA is Nina4PA.com is that website. Where people can go to find that town hall and to find additional opportunities to connect with your campaign. We'll come back to that plug and give you an opportunity to plug some social media in there as well as we get further along in the conversation. Nina, if you can, please connect for me your previous experience. You talk about your experience in advocacy, your experience in government. Bring those things together and talk about why those experiences make you a full candidate for Auditor General. How do we get from those experiences to being the Auditor General for Pennsylvania?
Yes, as I just articulated, the Auditor General is your fiscal watchdog. It is about following the money, and that it is really a value-based approach to governing. To say my hashtag is leave no one behind. That comes, I'll go even deeper than my just experience. It's my lived experience of being a child who lived through a war of independence. I come from the country of Bangladesh that was formed during that war. And that was a very violent war where in 9 months, 3 million people were killed and 200,000 women and girls were brutalized as a tool of war. So that's made me an advocate, obviously, for women all my life. And it also taught me that people are willing to fight for what is important for them. I stand, every day I'm reminded, and I don't forget this, I stand in the sacrifice of those people, those 3 million and those 200,000 women, but I also stand in the sacrifice of people in this country that allowed a brown immigrant like me to be the first Asian American to serve as a deputy mayor in the Philadelphia administration ever, right? And I don't take all of that lightly at all. This country has been fighting for racial justice for a long time. And I stand on the shoulders of the warriors who've been fighting that fight. It's been going on for hundreds of years, right? So given that background, that's where my leave no one behind thought process comes from, because I've been marginalized and I've been minimized. So I know what that feels like. So putting power into people's hands is really important. And that comes from making sure information is available. The Auditor General's office, as I said, is a fiscal watchdog. And what we do is give recommendations after we do the audits, whether it's a financial audit or a performance audit. The department has been decimated. We used to have 800 people serving the office. Now it's a little over 300 people and doing the same number of over 5,000 audits. So we need to advocate for resources for the office to make sure we have people who are being well treated to do the work, because they're overburdened right now. And second is, how do we use the data that they accumulate? So we have CPAs and others who are the functional people in the office. And then we have auditors 1 through and 3 who are unionized workers under them. They're the ones who go out in the field and collect the information. And the leadership position, which is the Auditor General, works with them to actually design the audits, to say, where are we going to look? What are we going to do? There's some mandated audits we have to do. And then there's the special audits that we can focus on. Given my background as a biomedical scientist, I'm really interested in healthcare. And I found, as I've talked to and visited people across across the counties in Pennsylvania, healthcare costs is a really big issue for people. It's life and death. Like if you're not healthy, you can't do any of the other things. So in that process, while the country figures out which path we're going to take to make sure healthcare is available to everyone, we can do some things right now as in the Auditor General's office. And I'm looking at the supply chain of that causes our drugs to be so overpriced. And one of the entities in that supply chain is the pharmacy benefits manager. I'm very interested to find out how and increase the transparency around that office. That will actually help us regulate what our drugs cost. So the legislature is very interested in it right now. I know they're starting to look at it. Other states have reined those costs in, and those are the efficiencies we can pass down to our Pennsylvanians. So that's of real interest to me. I've started digging in there and looking. This is a job that is devil in the details. And I found the devil in the detail here in this particular case is that pharmacy benefits managers are subcontractors. Auditor's office can only look at contractors. So that's one of the first changes we would have to make, or look at how we can give oversight and transparency and accountability to make sure our drug prices are much lower. So that's an example of how I would use multiple skill sets to come to this place. As a deputy mayor, I was tasked along with the cabinet to look at our over $4 billion operating budget. We had to make efficiencies. That's when I learned that, and I knew this before, but I learned it deeply, that the budget is a moral document. It is about values, who gets left in and who gets left out. Right? And those are the kinds of lens I want to bring to this office, so we can talk to our legislators and our governor and the executive office to give the data to say who's being served by what we're doing in government.
It's a poignant connection made between the moment that we're experiencing right now and I think an office that Pennsylvania voters don't often think enough about. So thank you for that, Nina. And if you can, talk to me about how voters can find you. We mentioned your website a few minutes ago. Where else can they go? Where would you want them heading to that website, ninaforpa.com? Is that the first stop? And what are they going to find there? And how can they help support your campaign?
So yes, ninaforpa.com is the website. We just posted our results from the poll up there and the call up there. They're going to find out more about me. They're going to find out, what brings me to the table. We're actually just updating our issues. We're rolling those out one at a time. I think our healthcare one is going to be the first one. They can make contributions. This time we are really not doing fundraising, but we don't have publicly funded elections. We have to raise money to get our message out. Our empirical data shows that if I get my message out, I can do very well in this race. So, those who can would request them to make contributions. There's a button there to donate. And then we have other platforms. Facebook, we have a public Facebook page, Nina Ahmad for Pennsylvania. You can go access that. That has, more current, updated information as things happen, including things about what we're doing with my dog, with my children. So you get a real full sense of who I am. And then, of course, we have Twitter, Nina Ahmad PHL, at Nina Ahmad PHL. And then we have Instagram, and that is at Nina for PA. Those are the ways you can stay current. And then anyone can, contact us at info@ninaforpa.com. We are responsive, and we try to stay ahead of the game in responding to people. So I hope people will take the opportunity to reach out. We are working with people across the state, actually. I just spoke to people in Erie. I'm going to be doing something in some sort of a town hall soon with some folks in Erie, going to do something in Lycoming soon. So we are making sure, even though we're not traveling, we're being able to reach out to folks and have deep conversations where people can ask the questions that need to be answered, but also to talk about the office. No one actually understands the power of this office. And I think the current Auditor General has done a great job of putting a lot of this on the map, and he's been doing some excellent audits to reveal some inefficiencies in our government. And more than that, some failings, right? And so I want to build on that legacy, not just to do that, but also to have a relationship with our legislators so they can use the data to create much better laws. So I've already started talking to legislators. I've worked with people before. As I said, I'm an advocate for women. I've been working on the maternal mortality issue with the local legislator and looking to see how that can be a job creator as well as save women. And those are the ways I can always, as an Auditor General, use data from our Medicaid reimbursements to say what's happening with whatever law we're doing around that issue. So lots of ways to empower people and make sure we leave no one behind.
Nina Ahmad, an important voice in Pennsylvania politics and one of 6 candidates on the ballot this primary cycle for Auditor General of Pennsylvania. We're encouraging everybody to find Nina on the ballot by getting that mail-in ballot process. And you can apply for that mail-in ballot at votespa.com. That's votespa.com. You just click on the apply for your mail-in ballot button right at the top of the page. Answer a couple of questions. It is super easy and super fast, and that ballot will get delivered directly to your home. And here in Erie County, the County Board of Elections has graciously agreed to pay for the return postage on those ballots. So when you request that ballot, you fill it out in your home and send it right back with no cost to you. It couldn't be easier, and it couldn't be an easier way to fill out that ballot for the June 2nd primary here in Pennsylvania. Again, Nina Ahmad, one of 6 candidates for the Auditor General's office. We've gotten 4 of you in here now in these conversations with candidates. And again, Nina, I'm so grateful for the time you've taken to speak with us today. And folks will be reaching out to find you online and connect with your campaign. Is there anything we've forgotten? Anything else you want to add for the folks of Erie, the folks of Northwestern Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I just want to underscore this particular time in history that we're going through, right? This pandemic. As a biomedical scientist, I want to bring that skill set to the Auditor General's office to make sure we're designing audits to assess our preparedness. We have seen already that the federal government has failed us. The states have stepped up. The Governor Wolf and our health secretary, Dr. Levine, have done an excellent job of keeping us informed, of making changes as they needed going along. I want to make sure as an Auditor General, we will be doing those audits to look at our preparedness, whether it's a pandemic or some other emergency. What are the things we have to take care of? Not just having medical kits, for example, testing kits, but also looking at the economic piece. If we are proactive, the pain is much less when we actually have to do it. And that's the job we can really perform well. So it's really using every skill set I have and bringing other people to the table. I don't know everything, but there are experts out there who are willing and ready to step up. Use them. Use people to help you craft the best way to be prepared for any of these issues that might come up. But generally speaking, as an Auditor General, we give recommendations. And if we can be able to reach people, that's the other piece that I wanted to mention, the public engagement piece. As my deputy mayor, that was my job, to connect people to government, to make sure policies that were being formed had the interest of who was going to be impacted at the table. We need to do that in every government office, and I intend to do that as your Auditor General and make sure that all of Pennsylvania knows what the office does and how we can serve you and leave no one behind.
Nina Ahmad, thanks again. Thanks so much for your time. And folks can find you online at ninaforpa.com. And again, apply for that mail-in ballot for the primary election at votespa.com. Nina, thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Have a great day and stay safe.
Thank you, you too.